Hello, Steve Beltramo here with interRel Consulting. Welcome to Getting Started with Strategic Modeling. Strategic modeling is a particularly valuable tool in today's environment. The coronavirus is precisely the type of black swan event that no one has factored into their annual budgets and that has finance departments around the globe scrambling to understand the potential impact to their organizations and come up with some kind of a plan to make it through. Now, I'm not going to really talk about the virus, but I am going to show you how to get up and running with Oracle Strategic Modeling. If you already use Oracle Planning Cloud, it's a no-brainer to enable strategic modeling as an enhancement to your planning process. I'm going to show you how easy it is to configure and enable the features for strategic modeling, and then to get started with a simple model with which you can run scenarios. Consider what your local regional hospital is going through right now. It may be the calm before the storm, but they say within weeks of local positive test results showing up for the virus, the more serious cases with infections start to show up in the emergency room. Hospital management will want to use whatever time they have to plan, and you probably do too with your organization. Some of the impacting factors for Crown Regional will be testing for the virus, potentially costs of obtaining and maintaining respirators, masks, and other protective gear. Also, overtime pay and temporary staffing costs, and maybe even temporary facilities expenses. The postponing of elective surgeries and non-essential procedures and the fear of catching the virus will keep people away that are not infected with the virus, which should have some offsetting effect. As a member hospital of a larger collectively owned group of hospitals, Crown Regional's finance department already uses Oracle Planning Cloud, but they have not tried strategic modeling yet. Carmen, an analyst in the hospital's finance department, has been curious about the tool, thinking it may be a good time to take it for a spin. If it works out well for Crown Regional, she may actually show the finance team at headquarters how to use it so they can roll it out to all of their hospitals and gain a consolidated view of their scenarios. For now, Carmen just wants to run a couple of quick best case, worst case scenarios to model the financial impact and report the results to hospital management. Let's back up a minute, just in case you're not familiar at all with strategic modeling. The beauty of the tool is in performing higher-level financial analysis and running scenarios. Import a budget or forecast as a starting point and make adjustments to reflect different scenarios for comparison. Each model comes with an integrated set of financial statements. It's a great tool for balance sheet and cash flow forecasting. Treasury and corporate development departments love the tool for providing financials for debt financing, monitoring metrics for bank covenants, and modeling acquisitions. As a high-level tool, it's not intended to contain the same level of detail that all the dimensions in your planning application provide. In fact, strategic models only include account, time, and scenario, and the model name. So the tool is limited in that sense. It's not intended to handle a lot of detailed information. The first thing that needs to be done, if it hasn't already been done, is to configure and enable the tool. In the web interface, from the Navigator menu next to the Oracle logo, go down and click on Configure. Then make sure Strategic Modeling is selected and click on Enable Features. The next steps, which I'll go over in greater detail, are build a strategic model, create a data map to push data from planning to the model, and then once you push the data to the model, you can start forecasting and calculating scenarios. Once you've enabled strategic modeling, click on the card and you'll see three options: Model View, Consolidated View, and Templates. Model View is where you go to create a model or work on models. Consolidation View is where you go to create and manage consolidations, parent that rolls up child models. We'll look at that in a bit more depth later. And then Templates is where you can go browse through the pre-built industry templates. One nice thing about this is you can preview the account structures and calculations in advance. Once strategic modeling has been configured and enabled, you can go in and create a model. There's a wizard for doing this, and there are only a few steps to get started. Create a name for the model and select one of the industry templates. If none of the industry options fit, you can select standard. There are also options to create a model from an existing model or to import a file in the .alc format. If you're setting up a model that will roll up to a parent, you can select a parent here. Also, you can set the currency and the units to use in the model. The next sections in the wizard prompt you to select a calendar, the fiscal year-end time period, and the years that will be included in the model. Also, you can just determine the configuration for the years, which ones are full years, quarters, months, etc. And then once you have made it through the wizard, click on Create the Model, and then you can open it up and have a look. Now, if you want to see the model with data from the planning application, say the budget or a current forecast, you'll need to set up a data map. This may be the most time-consuming step to setting up a model, but it's worth it. The reason I say it could be time-consuming is primarily because of the account mapping, but once the map is in place, you should be good to go. To create a data map, click on the application card and then Data Exchange, and from the Data Maps tab, click on the Create button. Give the map a name, select the source cube and the target, which is in this case the strategic model just created, and then you can map the dimensions. The target model only has 4 dimensions, which are the target model, scenario, account, and time. I'd recommend just testing it with just 1 or 2 accounts mapped to begin with, just to make sure it works, and then you can layer in the rest. Map both years and periods to the time dimension. From the Actions menu, execute the data map. Select Clear and Push Data. At this point, you can go back to Strategic Modeling, open up your model, and look at the data. Now you can open up the model and review the numbers that were pushed. If the mapping is complete, you should be able to tie out the numbers to your forecast from planning. And now you can begin forecasting, which is done from the Account View tab. Here you can enter inputs, adjust drivers, and save and calculate the model. Change the scenario, filter on the account groups to filter what's viewed on the screen. The Action menu has several interesting options, including the Forecast menu. Forecasting is a combination of direct input and driver-based. Standard methods are seen in the middle screenshot. Freeform allows you to type in a formula to drive the calculation for the account in focus. Scenario Manager allows you to create multiple scenarios. To add a scenario, open Scenario Manager from the Actions menu. Click on the plus sign to add a new scenario. Give it a name and description, and then click on Create. Carmen did some research on the coronavirus and worked with her other hospital staff to establish some assumptions around the best case and the worst case scenarios, and was now ready to put that information to work in strategic modeling. The research reflected that in their most optimistic case, their cost would increase by 5 percentage points to roughly 85% cost of revenue for the next 3 months. This reflected minimal impact from the virus to their community. In the strategic model, this is done by increasing the cost of revenue driver for each period. After running the calculation, the yellow shading highlights the impacted numbers. Then save again, and the yellow goes away. Now let's look at one of the canned reports. The income statement reflects the changes, negative financial impact for the periods March through May. Note that due to various factors, the hospital was already projecting an operating loss, and now it's even worse, even in the most optimistic case. The same process would be used for the pessimistic case. Create a new scenario, update the cost of sales driver, calculate, and save, and then you can see the results. Now let's briefly go through some of the other features in strategic modeling. So we talked a little bit about templates. They provide a great way to get up and running quickly. There are a handful of them set up for specific industries, and you also have the ability to create your own templates. Consolidations allow you to change ownership percentage and accounting methods. Full, cost, equity, minority interest. You can use different scenarios, and a business case defines how child node scenarios are rolled up into the parent. It's defined by selecting the scenario to use for rolling up data to the parent model during consolidation and then defining the model characteristics. By defining different consolidations that use different business cases and have different model characteristics, you can analyze how these different business cases affect the business at a more global, consolidated level. Set parent and child attributes to control things like consolidation methods, ownership percentages, periods to consolidate, and elimination account groups. Each account has two parts, input and output. So for example, if you set a forecast method for sales to be year over year, the input line may say 10%, where the output would be the previous year sales times 10% or 110 million. To maintain accounting integrity, accounts are set with relationships that cannot be changed. For example, a change in sales will change the net income, which will impact the cash flow, which in turn will change the cash on the balance sheet and retained earnings. As I mentioned earlier, for forecasting, you can use either the predefined forecasting methods or create your own formula. The formula shown here is very simple. It multiplies two accounts together. The templates are a pretty good place to see other examples of other formulas. When a model is created, there are also certain canned reports that are created along with it. Standard ones are income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. And then another thing you can do if you want to do some more customized reporting in Smart View, you can push data from strategic modeling to an S-based reporting cube. Audit Trail is a great feature. Simply click on a number and it lays out the calculation for you where the numbers are coming from. Use the debt scheduler to model the specifics of all your debt components. Enter in principal, term, interest rates, and payments, and the details automatically flow to the financial statements. GoalSeek is a tool that allows you to perform what-if analysis basically by backing into the forecast drivers. For example, if we wanted to achieve 150 million non-operating profit, how many units would we need to sell over a particular time period? Scenarios we've already covered, but I wanted to stress that they can be used in conjunction with consolidations to create different business cases. Putting options is where in the model you can go to set the options to instruct the model what to do with excess cash or deficits, what accounts to make the impact to, since all the financial statements are interactive. Finally, if you want to continue to use strategic modeling, I'd recommend installing the Smart View add-in. The installer can be downloaded from the cloud environment. There's a drop-down menu next to your username with a link to the downloads page. Once you've downloaded the installer, right-click on it and select Run as Administrator. Then when you connect your environment via Smart View, you'll see the new options for strategic modeling, including a new strategic modeling ribbon at the top and a navigation tree under connections, also called strategic modeling. If you expand this, you'll recognize the same three options as the web interface, which are Model View, Consolidation View, and Templates. Well, I hope I've sparked your interest in trying out strategic modeling. You can see how easy it is to get started, and hopefully you can put it to good use soon. interRel is here for you and more than happy to help you out with that. Thank you for listening. Please be safe and take care.